Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. And in our top stories today from France 24, Russian elite voice growing anger as losses mount in Ukraine. Yes, so the tune is changing for the media there in Russia as they were trying to talk up this military operation for quite some time. But Ukraine is now pushing back, and we'll get into that here momentarily. A growing list of failings and defeats in Ukraine have spawned angry outbursts from Russia's elite, who still support the military operation, but have gone so far as to suggest the army should cancel some of their individuals via a squad. Before September saw a series of battlefield reversals, public criticism of the army was rare. The offensives have been presented as a sacred patriotic mission, and speaking ill of the armed forces could lead to a long stay in prison. That's right, even YouTube creators that are in Russia had to call it a special operation. And of course, they voiced their disagreement with what was happening, but many of them have actually left Russia. Those that I follow here on YouTube, almost all the ones that I have followed or listened to here on YouTube have all left Russia, mainly for Georgia. Today, nobody among the elite is calling into question the merits of Moscow's viewpoint or the operation against a neighboring nation. So Russia is still trying to push forward. People are concerned that we're heading into what would be World War III, as it were, as the Pope has said that we're already in it. Others have said the same. And as we covered here on the channel, the Nord Stream pipeline, I still don't know why Russia would go into pass through NATO countries to get to that particular spot of the Nord Stream pipeline to then blow it up, because it just doesn't make any sense when they can just turn it off, right? I mean, once you remove all of the absurdity of it all, you get down to the common sense of it all, and that is, it would serve Russia. It would serve no particular purpose for Russia when they could just turn it off. I mean, they can come up with 1,000 other reasons why they would want to act the way they do, or even use a nuclear strike. As we see here, though, from the Express, oil cartel joins hands with Russia in bid to slash output by 2 million barrels per day. So, despite Russian sanctions, we are starting to see nations and other countries trying to trying to make arrangements with Russia. And a lot of it, of course, is all going to be based on money and the ability to make money for many of these countries. This is an opportunity for them because the difficulties and challenges that Russia is facing. But a lot of these nations really dislike the United States and NATO, so they're more than willing to work with Russia. So the move is likely to disperse U.S.-led efforts to set a price cap for oil from Russia, a plan Washington has suggested as a way to limit money flowing into Kremlin's pockets to spend on its military. So many of the nations didn't want to send money to Russia because they would be able to buy weapons or supplies or fund their operations by maybe paying their soldiers and that sort of thing. So the global cartel of oil production countries, OPEC, has joined hands with Russia after it agreed to slash oil output by 2 million barrels per day, according to news reports. Saudi Arabia has been accused of joining hands with Russia to maintain a stranglehold on oil exports and prevent prices from falling further. So you can see essentially what's happening, and this is just my opinion, this is just kind of a generalization here, is that in Europe, winter is coming, and these individuals need gas and they need oil, and the prices have been outrageous. And so this continued war is causing more and more problems for them in Europe. Now, here in the States, we're kind of still sitting somewhat pretty, despite the fact that we have a very incompetent administration. Speaking of incompetent administration, you're going to really enjoy this one. So Secretary Tony Blinken on oil production cuts. United States oil production is up by more than 500,000 barrels a day. We have tapped into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve as a way to stabilize prices. Energy prices have come down as a result of the efforts that we've made. Here's the thing. It is our Strategic Petroleum Reserve, but it's for emergencies. See the word emergency is in there because you use it for emergencies, not for political incompetence. Not because you want to satisfy 8% of climate militants in the United States. Not because you want to satisfy the left. Not because you want to satisfy progressives. You are tapping into our emergency reserves. And that is just, to me, just absolutely malpractice of government to do that. It's absolutely absurd and unacceptable. The U.S. is now sending the bulk of its export gas to Europe. So this was back in June. The U.S. sent nearly 3/4 of its liquefied natural gas to Europe in the first 4 months of 2022, up from 1/3 last year. And here's the thing. One of the first things that Biden did when he was going through his executive orders was he suspended energy independence here in the United States. Of course, ended the pipeline there, the Keystone Pipeline there into Canada, which was a great way for us to generate independence and energy and work with Canada. That was all suspended, and which was ironic because the AFL-CIO, the unions, supported Biden, and they lost thousands of jobs, which would have been part of the pipeline or part of the Keystone Pipeline. So they're not very happy with Biden as it comes to that. But here's what's even more interesting, and of course, you guys know how much we enjoy the media explaining to us and telling us what we should think and what our opinions should be, because of course we're completely uninformed. We're completely unable to use common sense and cogent thought to make simple determinations and distinctions. But as you guys know here on the BuzWeaver channel, we take the difficult, we take the complicated, we take the tumult, and we take the confusion, and we make it very simple. So here we have Reuters in their antagonistic way, in their condescension, explainer. Why are fuel prices rising again in some U.S. regions? Well, we already know the answer to that. They just wasted 14 different paragraphs to explain it. After a tumultuous year, U.S. gasoline prices has been steadily falling from peaks reached in June due to high demand and tight global refining supplies. No, you might want to say a war in Europe. But in some regions, the average price is beginning to rise again, prompting concerns from the Biden administration. Here's what's funny, is the administration says they have no control over oil prices and gas prices, and as well as they go after gouging. They say that the companies are gouging. Not the fact that retail prices and other things in our country are also gouging us, because we know that the establishment wanted to make sure that President Trump was not president to hold them back another 4 years, because why should the country succeed? Why should Americans benefit when the elites are not, when the establishment is not succeeding? So they had to make sure that Biden was their surrogate to make sure they could make their money back. Although 60% of U.S. states saw gasoline prices fall week on week, tiny, because, of course, as Blinken said, they're tapping into our emergency reserve. The national average gas price increased by about 7 cents per gallon in the same period, according to the data from the American Automotive Association. Here's the thing. Why didn't Biden resort to that? Here's Joe Biden in one of my shorts. Joe Biden. In 41 states plus D.C., average gas prices are less than $2.99. That is absolutely, categorically false. It is not. All anyone has to do is a simple Google search on average gas prices, and you will come to AAA gas prices. The average gas price is $3.86. How can Joe Biden, the president, the leader of this country, how has no one on his staff done a simple Google search? $2.99. That is absolutely categorically false. That is not correct. The average gas price in the United States is $3.86. Some places it's even higher, like Orange County, California. I think they're up to almost $8 a gallon. So here in Georgia, it's roughly around $3.86. And diesel, which I normally buy, is around $4. So the absurdity of it all, is it not? And I find it interesting because they keep suggesting that the Russian elites there, or the media there in Russia, is, of course, flawing and flailing, which is what they're doing here in the United States as well, which is kind of amusing. But nonetheless, guys, I know it's kind of a hodgepodge of things I was throwing out there for you, but I just want to mention that, considering what all is going on, particularly as things escalate in Europe. Of course, we covered North Korea shooting missiles towards Japan, and that's what I have for you guys today. And appearing there on the screen, that would be the channel icon. You guys can click on that to subscribe, as well as to get notifications, and I will see you guys in the next video.